And I am very, very, very fucking confused because just last week, Sarah supposedly hated Jackie, Nate, and Olivia. So what's going on? So I walk over there and I'm like, hey, like, where were you guys? And Sarah like looks at me like, oh fuck. Not really oh fuck, like more in a way of like, I planned this, but like, now I'm scared. And then she goes, OMG, we've been waiting for you here since like 3 o'clock. She was like, I thought you said to be here by 3. Even though her and I were literally texting last night about what time she had to be at my fucking house. And I was like, well, do none of you check your phone? And she was like, well, when we got here at 3, we started to play a few games and we get like no service in here. And then I was like, well, you guys were supposed to be at my house by 4. And then everybody else was like, oh, well, Sarah said you wanted us to meet you here at 3, like change of plans. So at that point, I'm literally just staring at her like, and then she goes, well, the invitations were super confusing, so how was I supposed to know? So after a few awkward, silent moments, I ask everyone if they want to come over and, you know, play a few games over where I was, like at my bowling lane. And Sarah cuts me off and she's like, well, since we've been here for so long, we didn't think you were gonna show up. So we made dinner reservations somewhere. And everyone was like, yeah, like, sorry, we're super hungry, you know. Well, pretty much everybody except for Nate. And Nate could obviously see that I was really upset. So he was like, you know, trying to joke with me a little bit lightheartedly. And he was like, I'll ask my mom if she can pick me up later if you buy me some McDonald's. I literally fucking love this kid. And Sarah's like, Nate, we made reservations. You have to come with us. And Sarah's literally giving me a fucking death stare. So I was already super upset and really annoyed and embarrassed at this point. So I just told Nate to go with them. So later on that night at around 1 in the morning, I text Sarah and I'm like, so when did you all of a sudden become best friends with Nate, Olivia, and Jackie again? And she texted me and she was like, well, I decided since they were gonna be at your party, I just wanted to squash the beef because I know that you wouldn't want there to be any drama. And then I texted her back and I was like, yeah, sis, speaking of that, what the fuck happened? Like, we had literally talked about what time you were supposed to be here the night before, less than 24 hours before the fucking party. And she was like, well, you really hurt my feelings whenever you pretty much didn't care about the fact that I felt uncomfortable with them being at your party. So I texted her back and I'm like, so you took this whole week to kiss everybody's ass so that you could be friends with everyone again and embarrass the fuck out of me. And she was like, well, when you put it like that, of course it's gonna sound bad. Fast forward a few days later, Sarah had her mom drive her to my house and she was like, I'm sorry, like, you know, I just have really bad PTSD from my past best friend. Girl, that was in 7th grade. Get the fuck over yourself. Get over yourself. But at that point, I was like low-key forced to forgive her because another part of my birthday present was to go to Disney World. And my parents and her parents planned the trip because our parents are like low-key besties. So I had to wait another month before I could completely kick her to the curb. But it just so happens that that trip actually went really well, and so did the month leading up to it. Like, we had the best time at Disney. So I guess I decided to not kick her to the curb. How stupid of me. So fast forward to the next year, our school was having a Sadie's dance, aka where the girls asked the guys. And over the summer, Nate and I had been spending a lot of time together and becoming a little bit more than friends. I mean, we were still best friends, but like we would low-key hook up here and there. And I was planning on telling Sarah about it, but the issue was she was super fucking judgmental, so I had my reasons. And I had kept it from her all summer, which was not easy because literally she would ask me to hang out every day, okay? And not only would she ask me to hang out every day, if I didn't answer, she would call my mom to ask my mom where I was. And my mom knew about Nate and I, so like whenever she would call my mom asking where I was, my mom knew the drill. She would be like, oh, she's grounded, or oh, she's volunteering right now at an animal shelter. Just some elaborate ass stories because Sarah was a fucking psycho. I think she honestly thought that I had like replaced her with a new best friend or something because that's literally how her mind works. Anyways, 3 weeks before the Sadie's dance, Sarah and I are having a sleepover, and she's like, I don't know who I should ask to the Sadie's dance, like who are you thinking of asking? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell you something, but you cannot get mad at me or like judge me or anything. She was like, okay, spill it already. I doubt I'm even gonna care. Okay. So I was like, okay, so over the summer, Nate and I have been hanging out a lot. And she like cuts me off and she's like, yeah, Nate and I have been hanging out a lot this summer too. What about it? Okay, I probably should have like stopped at that point, okay? Because at that point, I already felt like I knew what this was gonna turn into. And then she's like, wait, before you finish, I was gonna tell you this like a few weeks ago, but I think Nate likes me. And I was like taken back. Here we go. And I was like, oh, like, why do you think he likes you? Like, what? Like, I didn't say it like in a bitchy way. I was like, oh, really? Like, why? What has he been saying or doing lately? And she like starts to get all giddy and she's like, well, like whenever he comes over to hang out with Jaden, he'll like leave Jaden for like a little bit to come and just talk to me. And like he asked me if I wanted to go on vacation with like his family this summer. Now at this point, I'm kind of debating whether I should hold off on telling her about Nate and I until I was like, well, do you like him back? And she goes, well, like I would have told you sooner, but I just like thought you would get really jealous. But like I definitely don't like him at all. Like I just didn't want you to get upset and like get your hopes up if he like doesn't like you back because he likes me. So now I'm like, okay, we are going to not spare this girl's feelings today. And I'm like, well, if you don't really like him like that, then I guess it's okay if I just tell you. And she's like, tell me what? Like in a way like, oh my god, I want to fucking murder you because I liked him. I was like, him and I have been hooking up over the summer. And she like stared at me wide-eyed. She's like, what, like making out or doing the nasty? And I'm like, not that, but also not just making out. And I kid you not, she literally goes and she says, oh my god, you're actually a fucking whore. What is wrong with you? I didn't expect that one, even though I probably should have expected it. She was like, first you decide that you like Nate. That's one thing, but you guys are hooking up and you're not even dating? I thought you had better morals than that, honestly. And you didn't even tell me about it. Like, does she not get this is the exact reason why I did not tell her what was going on in my life? Like, this was the exact fucking reason why. She doesn't know shit. So I'm like, this is the reason why I didn't fucking tell you. And she's like, well, if nobody else is gonna tell you, so I figured you might as well just hear the truth from your best friend. Please use the best friend word lightly. And she goes, and you know, other people are gonna say the same thing because Nate has a really loud mouth. First of all, no the fuck Nate does not. No, he does not. That was pretty much just her excuse of saying, I'm going to tell everybody and I'm going to blame it on Nate. Because like I said, Nate and I have been hooking up the whole summer and school starts up again. I didn't hear shit about it. There were no rumors or anything that anything was going on between Nate and I. And then Sarah's like, well, I don't even know if I can trust you in my house anymore, to be honest, because you know that Nate is spending the night tonight. I don't remember if I mentioned this or not, but remember, Sarah's older brother, Jaden, and Nate are best friends. They're both in the same grade. They're both a year older than Sarah and I. So anyways, fast forward, Sarah's sleeping. It's 3 in the morning and I asked Nate if he wants to hang out. He's like, yeah, sure, just come over to Jaden's room. Jaden was super nice and he low-key knew about Nate and I, so he was like super supportive. So Nate tells Jaden, oh, we're gonna go take a walk. And he's like, bro, if you guys just wanna do it on my bed, I can leave. Or like I can stay if that's what you guys are into. Like what a fucking weirdo. Anyway, so Nate and I go on this walk and I tell him that I wanted to ask him to Sadie's and like what this would mean for us. And he's like, well, to be honest, I want to be in a relationship with you. He was like, you know, like we've been doing like random shit like the past few months. I don't just want it to be like a friends with benefits type of relationship. So I told him to give me a week because I needed to figure out how the fuck I was gonna tell Sarah this, which I also felt bad because I would have told him right then and there, like, yes, like we're in a relationship, done, good, because I did not want him to think that he was like my backup plan or I had anybody else waiting. Fast forward to Monday, there's rumors that Nate and I are hooking up and that he's using me. Also, there's rumors that I did stuff with him and Jaden at the same time, and I knew it was Sarah who spread these rumors because She's a fucking weirdo like that. So then Nate asked me, he's like, yo, like, did you tell anybody? And I was like, no, but I know that Sarah did. Because Olivia told me that during their history class, she was like spreading around rumors to everybody. So I text Sarah after school and I'm like, what the actual fuck? And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I don't think it's a coincidence that everybody knows that Nate and I are hooking up when I just told you about it. And before that, nobody else knew. And she was like, I'm sorry, B. I told you that Nate had a loud mouth. You should have listened to me. And to be honest, one of those rumors is that he's only using you for head. So honestly, I think you should just drop him. Like, you're way up here and he's like down here. So I told her we're not friends anymore. I fucking hate you. And then Olivia texted me and she was like, yeah, whenever she was spreading those rumors around during history, she also told Emmy that she wants to ask Nate to Sadie's. Now, Emmy is Nate's younger sister and she's in our grade. Little backstory on Emmy. The only reason why this bitch is stuck up Sarah's ass is literally because she likes Sarah's older brother. Sarah likes her older brother. So they both have something in common. So they can both kind of like pick at each other's, you know, brothers and be like, okay, you tell him this about me, I'll tell my brother this about you. Nate had told me about this the one night whenever I was over his house. We were up in his room, snuggling, watching movies. And anytime that Emmy heard that I was coming over, she would immediately invite over Sarah. So I guess they came up with a plan to say that we were doing the nasty and they could hear it. So they told Nate's mom that, and I wasn't allowed to go over to Nate's house after that. Like, she literally told me, like, she came up to the room and she was like, both of you get downstairs now. I'm taking you home. And Nate texted me that night saying, hey, like, Sarah's like saying some pretty wild shit about the reason why you haven't said yes to me asking you out is because there's someone else. And now I had it out for this bitch and I just didn't answer his text message. I was like done. I was like I was ready to put this bitch in a coffin and fucking put a nail in it. So the one day while Nate was over Jaden and Sarah's house, I decided that was gonna be the day that I asked Nate to be my boyfriend and I asked him to Sadie's. So my mom and I went to the store, we bought some stuff to make a sign and we went to Dunkin' Donuts and we got this like little box of donuts and I wrote it on the donuts in icing, will you be my boyfriend? And then I made him like the cutest little like Sadie sign that was decorated with like Swedish fish. And it was like, Nate, out of all the fish in the sea, will you go to Sadie's with me? It was just literally so cute. Now, this is gonna be super embarrassing if he already said yes to going with Sarah because I know that her plan was to ask him the day that I was going over there to ask him. Also, I didn't answer his text from the night before, so I was like, oh shit, like now he might just like be going with her just because he thinks that there's somebody else. So I really was going out on a limb here for this one. So I pull up to Sarah's house, I text her mom asking her if she can send Nate outside, and she, I guess, told Nate that I was here, and everybody walks outside, including Emmy, Jaden, Sarah, and Nate. And I'm holding up the sign, and Nate had like the biggest smile on his face. He's so cute. And he comes over, and I open the Dunkin' Donuts box, and I'm like, will you be my boyfriend? And of course he says yes. You know, and the look on Sarah's face, if looks could kill, every single one of us would have been dead. She stomps inside the fucking house and she starts screaming and crying and you can hear her banging on shit. Like, what a 2-year-old. Handle your emotions the right fucking way. It's not my problem that you're a fucking bitch. So then later on that night, I get a text message from her saying that I'm a backstabbing bitch and I'm just like her old best friend. She knew she shouldn't have trusted me. She hopes that Nate and I die on the way to Sadie's in a car accident, or that I get pregnant as a teenager and Nate leaves me. Just a lot of hurtful things, and like that wasn't even the worst of the worst that was in that message, okay? But a month later, Olivia and Jackie told me that, because like they were still talking to Sarah just to come back and bring me the tea. They were like, yeah, Sarah keeps saying how like Nate's definitely gonna leave you to be with her, and how like Nate like always talks to her whenever he goes over to Jaden's house, which I know isn't true. Well, fast forward, you know, she's still saying, oh, it's only a matter of time before he leaves her. Nate and I have been together for a few years, and he actually just asked me to marry him.